Hi, it's Annalie. Today I am going to be making cards similar to this one, but I think I'm going to step it up just a little bit. I'm going to use a few different colors and I'm going to try to add a little bit more detail. So I will try to remember along the way to show you the steps that I took for this before I add on to the other ones. So I am using one of my favorite sets. I haven't used it in a long time, but I love the way this looks. This is Vintage Florals, designed by Wendy Vecchi for Spellbinders. And the flowers are just so antique-y looking and vintage, I guess, that they are always pretty. So this is the set, and I'm gonna try to use this. Let's get started. I'm gonna try, because I did these so pastel-y, I'm gonna try a little bit darker with these and we will take it from there. I'm gonna be using a mini brush and a small brush, both from Altenew. And I'm going to start with, I think I'm gonna start with some of these colors. Mahogany Burnt Red, Canyon Clay, maybe some melted butterscotch we'll throw in there. So we're gonna start with this. And for some reason, I always start with my biggest flower. So I'm gonna move my leaves out of the way. I don't know why, I always do my biggest flower, my smaller flowers, and I always finish with my leaves. So the way this flower goes together, it's a layering die. It's very easy because you can see the etched marks where the next petal will just go right up on top. So it'll look a little bit like that. So in doing that, what I'm gonna do is I am going to have just like they show here, I'm gonna have the bottom petals a little bit lighter and then get darker as we go up. So I'm gonna start with melted butterscotch. And I'm going to use my smaller brush. Now I haven't played with these colors before, so this is going to be a new color scheme for me. So bear with me. We might have to make some changes as we go. So for this one, because I know that the middle part is going to be covered up by the next layer, I am starting there. No reason why other than I wanted a little bit darker around these edges. And I like it like this, where some are a little bit lighter and some are a little bit darker. So I might just leave that layer like that. Then for the next layer, I'm going to start again with melted butterscotch. Just like that. Then I'm going to come in with some burnt red. And just kind of blend so that it's not even. I might even add a little bit to here just to make it look like it's cohesive. Yeah, it's good. So that I have multiple colors on there. Already pretty. And then for the top one, that's this one, I'm going to start with a burnt edge around the outside. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of mahogany bark in the middle. And let's see if we want to add, I think we're going to want to add a little bit of the melted butterscotch as we go, just to make it look like a part of the flower since the other petals have it. I'm going to add some of this too around, just kind of around the edges, wherever. But I like how it progresses from lighter on the bottom, going to darker towards the top. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab a very small brush, and this has a chiseled edge on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go through here and add some details. I'm going to use the mahogany bark for this top layer. And you see where these little edges are? Not edges, but they're the embossed lines through here. I'm going to just try to enhance those a little bit using just the edge of my brush, just getting some ink on the edge, and then going on and just putting that darker ink just along those etch marks. And it gives it just a little bit of a detailed look. You want to go light because you can always add more, but it's very hard to take it away. So I'm just going to add a few little details here. See how that looks? Just a few little details on there. And then I don't really want mahogany on the next one, so I'm going to use the burnt red, and I'll do the same thing, just along the edge. And then because this part is going to be covered, it doesn't matter where I start. I can start all the way inside because that'll be covered up, and just go along the edges and give it some little ripple lines. I'm not doing a lot. There are some that I like to do more than others. I like to really make the details pop, but in this one, I don't think it needs it as much, but I thought I'd give it a try. And this one, I think I'll use this again, especially for the darker areas. And you want to try to make it so that they're curved. Some of mine look a little bit more curved than others. You want to follow the way those are. Just for a little bit of added detail. We'll see how this looks. This one, I don't really think it needs it. So for the other petals, for the other flowers, I might not add those extra detail lines. But you see in my first one, I didn't add any detail lines, and it's just very, very pretty and delicate. You can still see the lines because the ink catches in there. So it's not really necessary, but it's a different look. So, you know, give it a try if you're willing. I'll set that aside, and then I will work on this one. These two go together here. And this one I'm gonna start with, what color do I wanna do? Maybe we'll start with Canyon Clay. I'm gonna just wipe my brush onto a rag just because I was using a darker color. So I'm just gonna get rid of a little bit of that extra ink, and then I will come in and see how the Canyon Clay is going to look. And it's a beautiful color. So I'll just do both at the same time. And then, excuse me, I'm gonna bring in a little bit, I might as well do both of these colors again. I'll do a little bit of melted butterscotch, maybe kind of around the edges. So when I do this, I start on my mat and I move on to the flower. Just because I don't want a big blob of ink, a big round circle that's the same shape as this on my flower. Now for this inside one, it's not gonna matter if I start in the middle because I'm gonna be covering it with the smaller one. So this one, I'm gonna tap off a little bit. This one I can start right here in the middle, and it's not gonna matter if you can see that mark because I just want this to go just onto the petals right here around these edges. And then a little bit up here. Oh, so pretty. So just to keep it consistent, I will go ahead and do these also. Just very, very lightly. But again, this is an optional step, and I really don't think it's necessary on this flower. But since I hadn't tried it yet on this one, I thought I would give it a go. And now I know that I can keep this one pretty simple. But it does add a beautiful detail. So either way you like it, it'll work. Okay, now for the other flowers, I wanted to have these buds also on the darker side. So I think I'll probably do the same. Maybe I'll start with the melted butterscotch again near the top. And then I'll add the burnt red right here and over the top, just to blend those colors together. And then the mahogany bark will just go along the bottom. Now I'm using 3 colors. You do not have to at all. You can use 1 color and it will be beautiful. You can use 1 color and just do a light amount with a bigger brush. Like for this one, I did a light color on the bottom. I did a more medium color for the second layer and a little bit of a darker color. They were all in the same ink family. You can't really tell because they're all pretty light, but you can certainly make it work however you like. Okay, so I think that's it for those. Now let's bring in a couple lighter ones. Maybe we'll go for the peachy glow. I'll grab my peachy colored brush and we'll see how I like this with these. It might be a little too light, so we'll just go over it a few times. And I might use golden honeycomb around the outside edges here. And then maybe I'll try, now I haven't done this before, I'm gonna try a chamomile. I have a smaller one. Now this one is not angled, so I don't really know how this is gonna work, but I'm still gonna just try to put it right on the edge of my brush. And I'll do the same thing here, just to give it a little bit more definition on the inside. All right, so there we have those. Got to figure out what color I want the middle to be. I think I'm gonna stick with this. You know what? I'm gonna stick with whatever color is on my brush. And then it'll go well. And I might even just do the same for the insides of the flower. For the inside, I think for the inside of this one, I'm going to try the melted butterscotch. I can always go over it again if I don't love the color. And then the inside of this one, let's see what color we want here. Something that's going to go with it. Let's try Fire Brick. Should we try Fire Brick? I'm going to try the chamomile with the fire brick. I don't know if I've ever used fire brick before. Uh-oh, let's see. I don't want to get these mixed up. And how should we do this? The tips again. So when I craft, I do not always come in with an idea of what I want it to look like. I'm not sure if you can tell that because I decide as I go along. And I like doing that. It just makes it interesting for me because I really just don't know. I have my guide, but that doesn't really mean anything. Okay, so I did that. Now I think I will do this, will be the fire brick for the inside of this flower. Okay, now I'm gonna assemble these because I still need to color the green, and I've done this in the past. I bring my leaves up to color them, and I end up picking up the ink that is on my mat and it transfers onto my stems and my leaves. So I'm gonna put these together first and then clean my mat, and then I will color the leaves. So what I like to do is I have my reverse tweezers. These are my favorite tool. When I first started, I did not think I needed them. I didn't understand why people used them, but it is a huge help. It just makes it so much easier to hold on to. So I don't go all the way to the edges on this particular flower just because I like that they roll up. And these have the etched marks in here so you can tell where the next layer is going to go. Luckily, this glue dries clear because I have a big blob of glue right there that I don't particularly like, but it will be okay. Okay, now that that is all cleaned off, I can come in with my green. Now what I'm going to do for this, just to save time, I'm going to use the sage stone on the, okay, what I did on here was I used the sage stone on the stems and the olive grove and mossy granite on the leaves. I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to make the leaves a little bit lighter, and I'm just going to go right from the pad to the paper. Why am I doing that? I don't know. Don't know. Just something different to do, showing a different technique. So when you do this, you definitely can see the etched lines better because the ink pad stays on the flat surface. When you're ink blending, the brushes can get into the crevices and make a more even blend, but I'm okay with this. So I do want to come in and just make the bottoms of these just a little bit darker to make it look like there's a shadow on them. So I'm just going to do just around the bottom edges of the leaves. Like that. And then we can put those away. Okay. Now I'm going to set those aside. Now I already embossed this. This is dry embossed. This is a Stampin' Up! Folder. I don't know the name of it, but it's just it's like fancy writing, and it's a pretty background. Now what I did with the other one, which I'll do again, is, oh, I forgot to cut it to size. I'm just cutting a 1/4 inch off of the one side, just off of this side. Now I'm going to take a wet paintbrush. This is a water brush, but just a wet paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint along the top. Just a little bit along the top. That I'm just making sure that I don't have any ink on my fingers. Now I'm going to just rip. This just helps you rip in a straighter line for the most part. So I'm just doing the one top edge. You could do all of the edges if you want, but today I'm just doing the top to match this one. And before I glue it on, I just want to kind of like bend these edges up just to give it a little bit more texture. And I do eyeball mine just to try to get it centered. And then if you feel like the stem is too long, and I do feel like the stem is pretty long on this one, I just cut it off. Just cut it off, add the glue, drop it where you want it. I'm not putting glue on here yet because I'm thinking I might use, oh, what's it called? Foam dots. I just want to try to figure out exactly where I want these so I can get them in place before adding the foam dots to those. And then I'll probably put the hello down on the bottom, but we'll play with that later. And then I did make extra leaves this time. On this one, I did not. This one, I only used the 3 that came with it. So this time I thought, you know, maybe because I used so many of the same colors for the flowers that I might want a few extra leaves just to add a little bit more greenery. I think that looks lovely. All right, so now I'm going to take them all off again. Now, if you find that you have made the arrangements exactly the way you want it and you don't want to trust your memory, you can always just take a picture of it with your phone and put it back together that way. Just looking at the picture on your phone to help you place it. I think this needs to go up a little bit more because I'm going to add those flowers. And then I have double-sided tape. I'm a little short on foam squares, so I'm going to use my double-sided tape here to add on my flowers. I'm going to do 2 layers here like this. And again, I'm off camera. All I did was apply the double-sided tape here. I'm going to add this on like that. This is another optional step. You do not need to use double-sided tape. You can just use glue and glue it down, but I do like the look of the double-sided tape. Not double-sided, the foam tape. I like having that extra dimension on here. You can also use double-sided tape if that's what's easier for you, rather than the glue or the foam tape. It's completely up to you. And I'm talking rather than thinking. I don't usually put it on all the flowers. I like to have them at different levels. So some of them I generally glue onto the cardstock, but this time I just got carried away. Just put it on all of them. So let's see, where do we want this? I know we had decided already. I kind of like these 2 together, so I'll put those there. Put this down here. I know it's not where we had decided, but my cards never come out the way I started them, ever. And again, with this one, I don't like this stem, so I'm just going to cut the stem off. I feel like it tucks better. Nobody needs to see that stem in there. Might as well do it for this one too. And I don't usually go all the way up to the end with my glue on my leaves, just because I don't mind if the leaves turn up at all. Not that they really do, but if they did, it wouldn't bother me. Give them a little extra dimension. I'm gonna put these close together so it looks like a little bunch of leaves. And then this one, where do we want this? Do we want this up at the top? No, we'll put this one here. And there we have the two side-by-side cards. Now I did make the hellos. I die cut these. These are part of the set. Again, I'm out of the frame. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use them, but I'm going to show you my trick for using these with vellum, with a vellum shadow. I cut the shadow from vellum, and I cut 3 of these out of the heavy 110-pound Nina cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add one on top. Not that one. That one's got a little... I always find my best one to add to the top. And I'm just going to put glue on here. Now this one, I do not want the glue to go over the edges because you will see glue on vellum. So I use just a little glue, which is hard with this glue bottle today. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to just add it right into the center of the shadow. And then I'm going to take these other two and glue them together. So I just stack these one on top of the other like this. Trying to make sure that they match up because you don't want to see any layer peeking underneath. This one does have a tiny little bit of frayed cardstock. I'm just going to cut that off. Now what I'm going to do here, when I have those exactly the way I want them, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put glue on the top side of the stacked hello. I'm going to put glue right here on the top side, and I am going to apply this to the bottom of my vellum. And you want to be really careful not to have any glue showing on your vellum. So the reason I did that, you could stack all 3 together and put them all on top of the vellum. I like to have that barrier, that layer, so that it looks like my vellum is, my hello is floating. So the vellum doesn't go straight onto the card, it stays up a little bit. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm thinking it needs a little bit of sparkle. So I'm gonna use my Aqua Shimmer pen from Nuvo and make sure it's not leaking terribly. And I'm just gonna go over this with a little bit of a shimmer. I could have also, or I still could, color the hello with one of the colors that I used for the flowers and make it stand out a little bit. But I kind of like this whole white look with just the look of the flowers. So I could add it here. I could add it here, but I love that flower, so I'm not going to cover it. So I think that's going to go right up there, and it will stand up just because of the layering of the hellos on the bottom. So again, turn it over and put the glue only on the white cardstock letters, not on the vellum. Any glue you put on vellum will show through, and that's not the look you probably want for your card. So now I'm just going to bring this down here. Stay in your vision. Try to make sure it's even, and add my hello. Now, I'm just going to use these and hold it into place for a minute, only because it's on that textured paper, so it won't stay as well. And there we have our card. Now, since I have this pen out, I'm going to add some glitter to, this isn't the right pen, this is my water pen. That's not what I want. I want the glitter pen. I'm just going to add some to the centers of the flowers, just for a little bit of sparkle. You could you add sequins. I am not a lover of sequins. I do use them sometimes, but I don't love them. So I just like a little bit of shimmer. And then I'll put it on here too. Right on these centers. And there you have 2 different cards made with the same set, made almost the same. This one just has a little bit of extra detail, obviously different colors, but they're both so pretty. This is definitely more of a springy one, but then so is this. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I was able to teach you a little bit of something, and I'd love to see what you make and how you add detail to your cards. Have a great day. Bye-bye.